Every day we witness the darker side of human nature, acts of harm that often defy understanding. Crime is an unsettling reality, one that cannot be ignored. As someone who delves into the world of true crime, my goal is to uncover the most astonishing cases and explore the motives behind them. I'm Sam, and today I bring you another incredible true crime story. On the morning of February 24th, 2023, a seemingly tranquil atmosphere was shattered in the Bamfield residence. Shouts and screams erupted from an upstairs bedroom, followed by the unmistakable sound of gunfire. Upon the arrival of law enforcement, they encountered a perplexing scene. Two deceased individuals, a knife, and a narrative that felt inconsistent. What truly transpired that day? How did events escalate to such a degree? As investigators delved further, they revealed shocking truths that transformed this incident into a tale of betrayal, conspiracy, and murder. In 2003, at the age of 18, Christine began her studies at Quinnipiac University in Connecticut, pursuing a nursing degree. During her first year in 2004, she met Brendan Robert Banfield, and their relationship quickly blossomed. Christine graduated in 2007, and in 2008, Brendan proposed to her. Their engagement lasted nearly 2 years, culminating in their wedding on June 12, 2010. Christine was a dedicated nurse who cherished her profession, often enduring demanding 16-hour night shifts. Despite the taxing hours, she found great satisfaction in her work and shared her experiences on social media. Christine occasionally shared her fitness journey at a local gym, where Brendan would sometimes accompany her friends. Those close to the couple observed Brendan's unwavering support as he consistently encouraged Christine during her workouts and praised her progress. Christine once expressed her joy in a post, highlighting how motivated she felt by Brendan, particularly after he acknowledged the positive transformations her healthy lifestyle had brought to her life. In contrast, Brendan maintained a more reserved presence online, seldom divulging personal information. He served as a federal agent in the tax department, focusing on investigations related to fraud and tax evasion. Together, Christine and Brendan cultivated a life that exemplified their mutual efforts and profound bond. They relished attending football games, hosting gatherings, taking vacations, and traveling internationally. They embodied the essence of a typical American couple, having met young and aspiring for a promising future together. Initially residing in New York, the couple later moved to Herndon, Virginia, where their home, valued at over $1 million, was situated in one of the city's most sought-after neighborhoods. Both enjoyed financial stability, earning impressive salaries that afforded them a comfortable lifestyle. Their professions occasionally necessitated travel, resulting in periods of separation for work. In one social media update, Christine mentioned the need to leave their dog at a pet hotel during such times. In October 2017, Christine, then 32, announced on social media that she was 3 months pregnant, as both she and Brendan were traveling for work at the same time. On March 30th, 2018, she welcomed a baby girl, and thereafter her social media posts celebrated her joy as a mother, featuring pictures of her family. In 2019, the Banfield family decided to participate in the Cultural Care Au Pair program, which allows individuals to live with host families abroad, care for their children, and study while receiving accommodation, meals, and a stipend. In April 2019, Amanda, a young woman from Brazil, joined the family through this program. Over the next 2 years, Amanda formed a close bond with the family, sharing photos of their travels, celebrations, and daily life. and Christine even referred to her as a family member. Although Amanda's time with the Banfields concluded in 2021, she extended her stay for an additional 6 months due to global travel restrictions. Encouraged by their positive experience, the Banfields sought another au pair, specifically someone from Brazil, and met Juliana Perez Magalhães, a 23-year-old nurse from São Paulo. Juliana arrived in late 2021 after completing the au pair application process. While her relationship with the family was not as close as Amanda's, it was strong enough for them to extend her stay for another year. However, on February 24, 2023, at approximately 7:50 a.m., a brief 911 call was made from Juliana's phone, which ended abruptly. 13 minutes later, another call was received, during which Juliana reported that a friend was injured. Moments later, Brendan took the phone and informed the dispatcher that he had found his wife Christine with stab wounds in their upstairs bedroom and had shot a man named Ryan. Police arrived within 10 minutes to discover Ryan deceased and Christine gravely injured in the upstairs bedroom. Christine was swiftly transported to a nearby hospital following the incident. Fortunately, the couple's 4-year-old daughter, who was present in the house at the time, remained unharmed. Tragically, Christine succumbed to her injuries shortly after her arrival at the hospital. Brendan was also admitted to the hospital due to a leg injury. Preliminary police reports indicated that the deceased individual found at the scene was identified as Joseph Ryan, a 38-year-old man. According to the initial investigation, Ryan allegedly broke into the Banfield residence, attacked Christine with a knife, and was subsequently shot fatally by Brendan. This was the extent of the information available at that time. After his discharge from the hospital, Brendan declined to speak with detectives or the media regarding the events that transpired. In contrast, Juliana fully cooperated with authorities, providing her account and signing a formal statement. She reported that on the morning of the incident, she arrived at the Banfield home for work and witnessed Joseph Ryan forcibly entering the premises. In a state of panic, she contacted Brendan, who was not at home, seeking assistance. Brendan reportedly advised her to remain calm and assured her he would arrive shortly. Juliana stated that she waited outside for her safety until Brendan arrived. Upon his arrival, the two entered the home together and discovered Christine gravely injured, as well as Joseph Ryan still present. According to her account, a physical confrontation ensued between Brendan and Ryan, during which Brendan managed to seize a firearm kept in the house and discharged multiple shots at Ryan, resulting in his death. Brendan later supported Juliana's account, asserting that he acted in self. A perplexing aspect arose from Juliana's statement, in which she indicated that she had arrived at the Banfield residence early that morning to commence her duties. This raised inquiries, as au pairs typically reside with their host families, leaving it ambiguous where Juliana had been prior to her arrival at the house. For several months, law enforcement kept details of the investigation under wraps, choosing to maintain confidentiality regarding their findings. Meanwhile, neighbors reported frequently seeing Juliana at the Banfield home, although it remained unclear whether she was still residing there. She was often observed with the couple's daughter, leading to speculation that she might still be employed as the child's nanny. By August 2023, Juliana announced on social media that she was seeking a nanny position in the vicinity. Given that au pairs are prohibited from pursuing additional employment while enrolled in the program, this indicated that Juliana was no longer part of the program at that time. After more than 7 months of investigation, law enforcement was able to compile crucial evidence and forensic data to clarify the case. Based on Juliana's own remarks to her family in Brazil, the police concluded that Joseph Ryan had killed Christine following a disagreement, as the two were reportedly involved in a relationship. On October 19, 2023, the situation took an unexpected turn when Juliana was arrested, catching her off guard as the police charged her with second-degree murder. Authorities allege that it was Juliana, not Brendan, who had fired the fatal shots at Joseph Ryan. Investigators also determined that Brendan was not present at the residence during the shooting, contradicting previous statements. Following her arrest, Juliana was taken to the Fairfax County Detention Center. Initially, public sentiment was in her favor, with many viewing her as a hero who defended the family that had taken her in. There was also sympathy for Brendan, as many believed he had lied to protect Juliana, considering her temporary visa status could jeopardize her future in the United States. However, police later disclosed that there were no indications of forced entry at the Bamfield residence, implying that Joseph Ryan may have been let in willingly, possibly by Christine herself. This raised questions about whether Juliana had prior knowledge of Joseph Ryan before the incident. These developments significantly altered public perception, leading supporters to question Juliana's account of events. Various theories began to circulate online, with the most prevalent suggesting that Juliana and Brendan had a romantic relationship and had conspired to eliminate Christine. Speculation intensified that a divorce would have required Brendan to divide his assets with Christine, prompting him and Juliana to allegedly stage an attack using Joseph Ryan as a scapegoat. Another theory posited that Brendan and Juliana had been traveling together. On the day of the incident, upon returning home, the individuals encountered Christine and Joseph in a confrontational situation. Joseph was suspected to be a private investigator engaged by Christine to validate her concerns regarding an affair. This confrontation escalated into a violent altercation, resulting in the deaths of both Christine and Joseph. Another theory suggested that Christine and Joseph were involved in a romantic relationship, and that Brendan, upon discovering them together, killed them in a fit of rage. Juliana, who was loyal to Brendan, allegedly provided him. On the day of the incident, upon returning home, the individuals encountered Christine and Joseph in a confrontational situation. Joseph was suspected to be a private investigator engaged by Christine to validate her concerns regarding an affair. This confrontation escalated into a violent altercation, resulting in the deaths of both Christine and Joseph. Another theory suggested that Christine and Joseph were involved in a romantic relationship, and that Brendan, upon discovering them together, killed them in a fit of rage. Juliana, who was loyal to Brendan, allegedly provided him with an alibi, and the two subsequently entered into a relationship. When Brendan arrived, they both entered the house together. Juliana acknowledged that she made the initial 911 call but quickly hung up, uncertain of what to communicate. She took the young daughter of the Banfields to the basement for safety, while Brendan retrieved his firearm, preparing to confront the situation. Shortly thereafter, they heard noises coming from the upstairs bedroom and rushed to investigate, discovering Joseph Ryan standing over Christine, who was lying naked on the bed. Joseph, still dressed, was holding a knife. Brendan aimed his gun at Joseph, demanding that he drop the weapon. However, Joseph threatened to harm Christine if Brendan did not lower his firearm. What followed was a chaotic and horrifying sequence of events, during which Joseph began stabbing Christine as Brendan fired his weapon, though most of the shots missed their target and failed to incapacitate him. Joseph continued his assault on Christine when a desperate Brendan called out to Juliana to fetch another firearm stored in a safe located in the bathroom. Upon Juliana's return, instead of handing the weapon to Brendan, she discharged a fatal shot into Joseph's heart, thereby ending the attack. The two subsequently contacted 911 to report the incident. Juliana's defense hinged on this narrative, asserting that her actions were purely in self-defense. Conversely, the prosecution presented a starkly different perspective during the hearing, alleging that Brendan and Juliana had been engaged in a romantic relationship for several months and that the entire event had been premeditated. They contended that Brendan feigned leaving for work that morning but remained nearby, awaiting a call from Juliana. The prosecution further claimed that Joseph Ryan was misled into coming to the Banfield residence under false pretenses, believing he was meeting Christine for a romantic rendezvous. Allegedly, either Brendan or Juliana had fabricated a false profile of Christine on a dating platform to facilitate this meeting. Friends and family of Christine, upon reviewing these communications, described them as peculiar, noting that the writing style did not align with Christine's. On the day of the incident, Joseph reportedly arrived at the residence and was welcomed by Juliana, which explained the absence of forced entry. Shortly thereafter, he was ambushed by Brendan. According to the prosecution's theory, they argued that the couple had meticulously orchestrated the scene to eliminate Christine, thereby allowing Brendan to avoid asset division in a divorce and to pursue a prosperous life with Juliana. A witness from a shooting range testified that Brendan and Juliana had frequented the facility 2 months prior to the incident. Furthermore, Brendan returned alone a month later to acquire a firearm, the very weapon that Juliana used to fatally shoot Joseph. Investigators also disclosed that both Brendan and Juliana acquired new cell phones just 4 days prior to the incident, a fact that prosecutors interpreted as further evidence of premeditation. Photographs taken of the Banfield residence following Juliana's arrest revealed notable alterations. The room previously occupied by Juliana was devoid of her possessions, including clothing, makeup, and personal items, all of which had been relocated to Brendan's bedroom. Additionally, all images of Christine and Brendan with their daughter had been removed and replaced with photographs of Brendan and Juliana, some of which featured the child. While Juliana's defense acknowledged the potential for a relationship between her and Brendan, they contended that it was not of a serious nature. They argued that both Brendan and Christine had been unfaithful, thereby undermining the prosecution's narrative of a meticulously planned conspiracy. During his testimony, Brendan invoked the Fifth Amendment, declining to answer questions that could implicate him and providing only minimal responses throughout the hearing. The prosecution also highlighted Juliana's attempt to secure a new passport after her original had been confiscated during the investigation, suggesting an intention to flee the country. In response, Juliana's defense explained that they had advised her to apply for a new passport as a legitimate form of identification, emphasizing that there was no escape plan. Nevertheless, the judge denied Juliana bail, ordering her to remain in custody until her trial. In contrast, Brendan was released but continued to be under investigation. Initially, he accepted responsibility for the shooting of Joseph Ryan. However, after forensic evidence indicated that Juliana had delivered the fatal shot, he revised his account. The Banfield's daughter was placed in the care of relatives as the legal proceedings unfolded. Months later, on September 16, 2024, police apprehended Brendan Banfield, charging him with first-degree murder for the deaths of both Christine and Joseph. Prosecutors alleged that Brendan had conspired to commit their murders. The incident occurred at the family's residence, where a firearm was utilized in the execution of the crime. Although the authorities did not provide specific evidence directly linking Brendan to the murders, they did disclose that he and Juliana had arranged a trip to Brazil just days prior to his arrest. During Brendan's initial hearing, it was revealed that his relationship with Juliana commenced in August 2022, nearly a year after she began her employment with the family. At that time, Juliana was involved in a long-distance relationship with a boyfriend in Brazil. The prosecution presented evidence indicating that a month before the crime, Brendan and Juliana had traveled together to New York, where they stayed in a hotel and attended a performance. On the morning of the incident, Brendan stated that he left home at 7:11 a.m. and made a stop at McDonald's for coffee, a customary part of his daily routine. He reported receiving a call from Juliana at approximately 7:37 a.m., during which she informed him that an unknown individual had entered the house. Brendan claimed he hurried home, leaving his breakfast unfinished. However, during the hearing, prosecutors played the recording of Juliana's initial 911 call, which lasted only 8 seconds, during which Joseph Ryan could be heard groaning in pain before the call abruptly ended. When questioned about this, Brendan attributed the dropped call to their inability to locate the phone after it had fallen. He acknowledged that he had instructed Juliana to retrieve a second firearm from the bathroom safe as a precaution. Instead of handing him the weapon, Juliana used it to shoot Joseph in the heart. The timeline of events raised considerable concerns. Authorities noted a 13-minute interval between Juliana's first and second 911 calls, and Joseph Ryan was already injured by the time of the first call, prompting inquiries into why it took Brendan and Juliana 13 minutes to make the second call. Authorities suspect that this time was utilized to stage the crime scene, as the prosecutor indicated that Joseph's body had been repositioned to create a misleading appearance. Investigators revealed that the knife discovered at the scene was owned by Joseph Ryan, who had transported it in a backpack. In discussions with the individual he believed to be Christine, Joseph was encouraged to bring the knife due to a mutual interest in specific fantasies. The website where their communication took place was designed for casual encounters, emphasizing fetishes that involved both pain and pleasure. Authorities contended that this detail conveniently provided Brendan and Juliana with a prop to manipulate the scene. Paramedics who arrived at the scene observed several discrepancies. Both Christine and Joseph's bodies seemed to have been relocated and rearranged. Joseph's arms were crossed and stained with Christine's blood in a manner inconsistent with the fatal gunshot wound he had received to the chest. Furthermore, while paramedics attempted to assist Christine, Brendan reportedly exhibited minimal concern for her well-being, repeatedly inquiring whether Joseph was still alive. Authorities interpreted this behavior as indicative of Brendan's anxiety that Joseph might survive and disclose the actual events that transpired. Blood spatter analysis further corroborated the theory of staging. Forensic reports finalized in August 2023 confirmed that both Christine and Joseph had been repositioned after suffering their fatal injuries. This evidence, along with text messages and witness testimonies, began to construct the sequence of events leading up to the crime. Prior to the incident, Joseph had confided in a friend about his interactions with Christine, mentioning her assertion that her marriage was open and that both she and her husband engaged in relationships with others. Based on their online exchanges, Joseph disclosed explicit details, including images of the items he planned to bring to their meeting: a knife, handcuffs, and belts. He also mentioned intentions to cut Christine's pajamas with the knife, which authorities discovered that Joseph had never communicated with Christine via phone or video chat, a detail that proved crucial to the investigation. This led investigators to suspect that the individual behind the profile was either Brendan or Juliana. If Joseph had indeed spoken with Juliana, her distinctive Brazilian accent would likely have raised suspicions. However, none of Joseph's acquaintances reported him mentioning such a detail. Investigators theorized that Brendan may have created a fabricated narrative to account for any inconsistencies, such as asserting that Christine had resided in Brazil for a period, which would explain the accent. Friends of Joseph, who were interviewed by law enforcement, characterized him as a peaceful person and expressed skepticism regarding his capacity to harm Christine. They believed he had been coerced into the circumstances that ultimately led to his demise. Between Juliana's arrest on October 19, 2023, and Brendan's arrest on September 16, 2024, the two maintained regular communication. In a recorded conversation, Juliana confronted Brendan, asking, "I hope you're not staying with me just because you're afraid I'll turn on you?" To which Brendan retorted for her to be quiet. This exchange, along with other evidence, heightened suspicions regarding their involvement in the crime. By late October 2024, Juliana opted for a plea deal to circumvent a full trial. She admitted guilt to involuntary manslaughter and consented to testify against Brendan at his forthcoming trial set for February 2025. The prosecution indicated that Juliana's sentencing would be significantly influenced by her testimony and the results of Brendan's trial. During her confession, Juliana disclosed that Brendan had orchestrated the entire scheme. Their romantic involvement commenced in August 2022, approximately 1 year after Juliana began her employment with the family. By fall 2023, Brendan articulated his intention to eliminate Christine and began plotting the crime by creating a false profile on an adult dating platform that focused on fetish-based fantasies. He impersonated Christine and initiated communication with Joseph Ryan, gradually enticing him to arrange a meeting at the Banfield residence, instructing him to bring specific items, including a knife, to enhance the ruse. Brendan requested Juliana to engage in a voice call with Joseph on Telegram, pretending to be Christine. Juliana confessed her initial reluctance to participate, but ultimately acquiesced. On the day of the incident, Brendan waited nearby after leaving the house under the guise of going to work, directing Juliana to manage Joseph's arrival and to maintain the pretense. Juliana expressed feelings of entrapment and fear, stating that Brendan's dominance left her with little choice. She adhered to the plan and made the calls as directed. However, Christine's phone went directly to voicemail because Brendan had turned it off and concealed it in a kitchen drawer before departing that morning. While waiting at a nearby McDonald's, Brendan received Juliana's call and feigned an attempt to contact Christine, fully aware it would also go to voicemail. He then returned to the house, collected Juliana and their daughter, and entered through the basement, leaving the child there before proceeding upstairs to the bedroom he shared with Christine. Brendan carried his service weapon. She admitted guilt to involuntary manslaughter and consented to testify against Brendan at his forthcoming trial set for February 2025. The prosecution indicated that Juliana's sentencing would be significantly influenced by her testimony and the results of Brendan's trial. During her confession, Juliana disclosed that Brendan had orchestrated the entire scheme. Their romantic involvement commenced in August 2022, approximately 1 year after Juliana began her employment with the family. By fall 2023, Brendan articulated his intention to eliminate Christine and began plotting the crime by creating a false profile on an adult dating platform that focused on fetish-based fantasies. He impersonated Christine and initiated communication with Joseph Ryan, gradually enticing him to arrange a meeting at the Banfield residence, instructing him to bring specific items, including a knife, to enhance the ruse. Brendan requested Juliana to engage in a voice call with Joseph on Telegram, pretending to be Christine. Juliana confessed her initial reluctance to participate, but ultimately acquiesced. On the day of the incident, Brendan waited nearby after leaving the house under the guise of going to work, directing Juliana to manage Joseph's arrival and to maintain the pretense. Juliana expressed feelings of entrapment and fear, stating that Brendan's dominance left her with little choice. She adhered to the plan and made the calls as directed. However, Christine's phone went directly to voicemail because Brendan had turned it off and concealed it in a kitchen drawer before departing that morning. While waiting at a nearby McDonald's, Brendan received Juliana's call and feigned an attempt to contact Christine, fully aware it would also go to voicemail. He then returned to the house, collected Juliana and their daughter, and entered through the basement, leaving the child there before proceeding upstairs to the bedroom he shared with Christine. Brendan carried his service weapon. She expressed that her hope for justice is the sole motivation sustaining her. Both families of Christine and Brendan have conveyed profound shock and grief regarding the situation. Christine was interred at Queen of All Saints Cemetery in Suffolk County, New York. Meanwhile, the couple's 6-year-old daughter is reportedly being cared for by close relatives. As for Joseph Ryan, no details regarding his funeral have been disclosed. The families involved continue to be tormented by the tragedy. As the nation watches the pursuit of justice unfold, thank you for tuning in to Do Not Cross. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping investigations.